Oh, hello, everybody. What an amazing crowd. Andrew, you always... Actually, they're all here for you, Miriam. All right. Miriam, let's begin with you. Andrew just showed these slides. Lack of trust in AI. Kind of disconcerting. Also kind of funny that it is sort of the AI industry's fault, the sort of dystopia's marketing strategy that they took in 2023. But Miriam, you've just written a book on Trustworthy AI. What are the steps that people need to take to rebuild trust in this amazing technology, particularly all these lovely people in the room? What are the things that they can be doing? You've just written a book on this. Give us a 1, 2, 3, and then Andrew, please respond.
Thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be on stage with you and to see you all here today because you play a key role in helping to answer this question. Why are people afraid of AI? There are the headlines, but a big piece of this is because they don't know what they're using. You have this unique insight into what AI is and is not. They have no idea. We have two major gaps. While we're accelerating at scale, unprecedented scale with AI investment, what we've missed are key variables, two key ingredients. One, AI governance. Two, AI literacy. The AI literacy is a piece that we all need to participate in. We need to make sure our mothers, our fathers, aunts, uncles understand what AI is and feel invited into the AI world. Let them know good news. First of all, you're using AI. Most people don't know how many times they've used it throughout the day. Two, we can acknowledge their fear. Let's not ignore it. Let's meet them where they are and say, we understand you're afraid. It's understandable. There's a lot of unknowns. In our book, we have 9 categories of risks, and all of them are real. So let's talk about it. Is your concern privacy? Is your concern workforce displacement? Is it hallucinations? And then let's talk about mitigation strategies because we have to get to the third part of the conversation, which is opportunity. We will all benefit from AI. I think everyone in this room probably is uniquely situated to agree with that statement. Tell me if I'm wrong. Raise your hand. Do you believe that you will benefit from AI? Okay, I had a feeling we were in a unique room here. I will tell you, I've been in rooms across the country. I was in Chattanooga a day ago. There's not that same feeling across the country. People are afraid, but if they know what you know, and that's interesting, experts in AI feel very different. They trust AI much more because they know its strengths, they know its limitations. So let's talk about the fear so we can talk with people about the opportunity. But what you all here can be a part of that is the most significant part of this development where I think tech companies have not yet participated in sufficiently is AI governance. Too many companies are accelerating on AI without putting governance in place. There's some staggering numbers. While 80–90% of companies are using AI, something like less than 11% have strong AI governance in place. So that's the role where you all come into play and can make sure that people trust AI.
Wait, what do you mean by AI governance? Like, define that term don't define it too much because then the conversation will die, but just define it quickly. What do companies need to do?
Companies need to make sure there's accountability for their AI systems. They need to make sure there's a process in place that you all are clear on. It's important to have AI principles, high-level principles, but it means nothing if that's not translated into process and actions into your workflows so that you know what that means at 4 p.m. on Tuesday when you're shipping the systems out, what it is that you are expected to be doing in order to make sure that those systems are trusted. It's accountability, it's transparency in the model cards, it's a process that's clearly communicated from start to finish, and then it's clear retesting, rinse, repeat, because as we know, the code will iterate, and you need to make sure your process is living as well.
I think, Miriam, you misread the room. This looks like a room that ships at 4 a.m. on Tuesday, but maybe it's 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Andrew, do you think that we've taken a step back on AI governance? Like the complexity of the model cards that the foundation models are releasing, with a few exceptions, doesn't seem to be going in the right direction. Companies aren't really figuring out what's happening. Is Miriam right? Do we need to really change governance?
Yeah, but I think companies should read Miriam's book, so tell them to go buy it and read it. And I think, I feel like one weird thing about AI is there's a lot of truth in the statements made, but they often get hyped up and go too far. So AI governance is important, responsible AI is important. We have to understand observability, that is important. At the same time, there have been a number of businesses that use the spectrum of AI dangerous to try to put in place excessive amounts of governance to pass anti-competitive, anti-open source regulation. So I find that it's really difficult to dial it up so that we do have responsible AI, but also not buy into the hype that we need to pass all these stifling regulations that shut down open source, for example.
But
and just to say one other thing on what Miriam said about people don't. I was speaking with a musician a few weeks ago, someone whose music I've enjoyed, I think many have enjoyed. I'm not going to use his name, but I was chatting with him about AI and the concerns of the Hollywood industry about AI. And he said something that really moved me. There's some musician whose music I've enjoyed. He said, Andrew, don't silence our voices. And I think that there is real parts of the country that is very worried about what we are doing to the jobs or to their friends' jobs and to where society is going. Governance is a big piece of this, but I worry that we've not yet, I think AI is great, but I worry we've not yet won over large parts of America.
Wait, and do you feel like a push for governance, the company should read Miriam's book, that a push for governance will inevitably lead to more fear, which will lead to more of a backlash against AI, which will lead to a lessening of the benefits?
I think it depends on how it is done. So there is responsible governance, which I think Miriam has really been a strong champion of at the White House, through multiple administrations and so on. And then there are, unfortunately, teams that take isolated incidences and highlight it and drive sensationalist media coverage. For example, one thing that was widely covered was AI blackmailing people. Right, but if you read what actually happened, it took a lot of work to engineer the AI to put it in a box and make it, try to blackmail someone. But then it turns into this media sensation that misleads a lot of people to think AI is so dangerous it could blackmail people. So I feel like when we do red teaming, which is good, we should absolutely do red teaming. Don't take a red teaming exercise and turn it into a media sensational thing that is beyond the reality of what was actually observed.
Wait, can we stay on this example for a second? Because the company that did that was Anthropic, which is generally considered the company that has the gold standard in what Miriam's talking about, right? They have the most sophisticated model cards. They do the most sophisticated red team. Do you think that Anthropic has taken the wrong direction in governance?
I think that, I feel like, oh, damn it, Nick, why do you not ask easy questions? I feel like on the spectrum, I think I am less in favor of the types of governance that some at Anthropic have advocated for. I think we should have, actually, so I think one thing that, I think the EU AI Act was really unfortunate, right? I spoke with regulators in Europe that have said things like, we want to lead in AI by being the leader and regulating it. And you know what? It doesn't work like that. You don't get to lead it in AI by being the leader and passing regulations to slow down AI. And I think, fortunately, the current US administration, like any administration, I think they do some good things, they do a bunch of less good things, but just in the narrow matter of AI, reducing the amount of stifling regulations at the federal level, which I think, the bipartisan Schumer AI Insight Forum also did a good job tamping down the unnecessary federal level AI regulations, but there's a big state level battle going on right now. And I find that a bunch of really unnecessary safety theater laws are being proposed that are creating headwinds. We're actually seeing a lot of attacks on open source, kind of studies that purportedly show AI is more open source AI is more biased or less safe. So there's actually a very active battle going on at the state level now to not let companies, lobbyists get past stifling anti-AI regulations.
Miriam, let's go. I want to stay on this question of the different foundation models and who actually has the right idea. So if I were to make a spectrum, I would put like Anthropic over here, like really detailed system cards, lots of experiments, red teaming, these wonderful essays that are put out. And then maybe OpenAI, which used to put a lot of attention into it, now kind of not so much. Like maybe there's system card, maybe there's not, maybe there's safety, maybe all the safety people left and went to Anthropic, right? And then there's X, which is just like fuck all, right? And so which do you think is right? Like it seems like Andrew's saying Anthropic's maybe going a little too far, maybe leading to a backlash. What do you think is the right approach?
So I'd like to challenge the question a little bit, if you don't mind. I do work with Google DeepMind, Microsoft, Amazon. They do have teams in place who are committed to the AI governance work. They have resources committed to it. Obviously, Anthropic is a lot of resources. But my concern is that every company is now an AI company, and they are not building the teams and resources necessarily to prepare for it. So I get to live in a unique situation. My bubble is at EqualAI, as we work with companies that want to lead in AI governance. But the hard thing is, while Anthropic is deeply thinking about this, while Microsoft has a huge team reporting to the general counsel or CEO, which is another key part, you need C-suite buy-in for AI governance to work. It also, by the way, is not only a good thing for governance, it's a good thing for business. A lot of studies show, a recent McKinsey 2025 study showed that if you have C-suite buy-in, particularly the CEO on your AI governance, that's the highest indicator of success for your generative AI tools. So it's not only the right thing, it's good for business.
Business success, you sell more. If you have CEO
Yep.
buy-in on governance,
Correct.
you sell more.
Correct.
Wow.
Yep, it's happy to send you the study after. McKinsey had two.
I guess I'll buy into governance at my company now.
You should, absolutely.
Just kidding. I already do.
No, yeah, I know you do. And I know you've had a lot of interesting work on AI in your company as well, we should be talking about. But that's the bottom line, is that I think too much of the focus is only on the hyperscaler companies, on the foundation frontier models. Absolutely, we should be looking at them given the scale of their impact, given how many models and applications are built off of those programs and companies' tools. However, we shouldn't lose sight of 90% of where consumers' daily AI use is coming from, and that is through the companies who have apps that are either built internally or in conjunction with these models.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, fine.
Can I add one best practice, just one tip that may be interesting to you? So I find that a lot of businesses, we have something to lose, right? Large businesses, we can't afford to have one engineer build something irresponsible, ship it, take down the brand, damage revenue, or whatever. So what happens, a lot of businesses, we put in place protective mechanisms. We say, you know what, before you ship something, you need, legal approval, marketing approval, brand review, privacy review, GDPR compliance. And then by the time that poor engineer needs to get 5 VPs to sign off before they can do anything, then everything grinds to a halt. So I found that one good, see, a lot of people nodding. I find that one good practice is to have responsible AI governance and also move fast is to preemptively create sandboxes where we put in place a set of rules to say no shipping stuff externally under the company brand, no sensitive information that could leak, whatever. Only test it on our own employees, they're under NDA or whatever, and only $100,000 budget in AI tokens. But by creating sandboxes like that are guaranteed safe, this then can create a lot of room for product and engineering teams to run really fast and try things internally. And then only after something seems promising, then do we invest in the scalability, security, reliability to take it to scale. So that's one way to be responsible, safe and responsible, and also let teams run fast.
That's a wonderful idea. Let's talk a little bit about regulation, which Andrew brought up just a minute ago. And he said there's a lot of state regulation aimed at stifling open source AI. You can understand the economics behind it. Miriam, what is the best regulation that has been enacted in the United States in a state, and what is the worst?
With regard to AI?
With regard to, regard to like drunken driving. No, with regard to AI.
With regard to AI, there's not, on the federal level, not too much to speak of, obviously. There hasn't been a lot of federal regulation with regard to AI specifically. So 2 points on that. First of all, there was some legislation, particularly out of the National Defense Authorization Acts of 2019, 2020, where they put significant investment into AI. They created investments from the National Science Foundation, in the Defense Department. They created the National AI Advisory Committee, which I was privileged to lead for 3 years. A lot of really smart governance and investments in place. And by the way, while we're saying governance, Andrew's remarks are reminding me, again, the crowd that we're in, I know that governance can seem like a bad word. My co-authors and I had a lot of heated discussions about whether the name of our book was appropriate. I really wanted it to be called Governing the Machine, because I think we humans, you all, need to and can be governing the machine. But I understand governance has a bad word. It deserves to be a bad word if it's bureaucracy, if it's keeping you from getting your bottom line, if it's hampering you. That is not what I mean by governance. Governance is breaking down principles into actionable workflows, making sure that expectations are clear for you all. So I digress. But back to the regulations, what we are seeing is a lot of state laws. You saw California had a law recently, the first of its kind to regulate frontier models and safety expectations, what they need to be complying with. It only applies to a very few number of companies, obviously. Will there be more? We've seen a lot of states that went from 19 laws with over a 6-year period to 1,000 state laws proposed last year. So it's very interesting to see what's happening at the state level. You saw at the federal government level, they tried to limit this with a 10-year moratorium, arguing that no state should be having AI laws for at least 10 years. That has not yet been successful. That's still underway. But the point I also want to make sure you're all clear on, we have 3 chapters on the books dedicated in our book, In Governing the Machine, about laws and regulations currently on the books. So while there will be new AI laws, and to some extent, I'd be curious how many of you, do you think that we need AI laws? Do you want more specificity? Would you mind raising your hand if you want more laws on AI? Okay, super interesting. So there are certainly areas where you all need that clarity and specification. Thank you for raising your hand. But on the flip side, what I want to make sure as a former general counsel is that every company and engineer knows there are contract laws, torts laws. We obviously see the intellectual property laws that are now being litigated. There was a 6 times increase in 6 years. I think that'll happen again in the next year based on lawyers waking up and understanding where there's liability and laws on the books that will be actionable in AI.
Well, there would also be fewer lawsuits if the AI companies hadn't stolen all the data in the middle of the night without telling people while hiding their bots, but that's a separate issue. Andrew,
Now,
do you...
I want to say what I think is the worst.
Oh, the worst. Yes, please, bring it.
I think it's actually not about AI, but I think one of the worst things we have done and are continue to do to American AI is the anti-immigration rhetoric and action.
Totally, yeah.
I think it's a you know, by some, you know, I'm an immigrant. I came to the U.S. on a student F1 visa, and yes, of course we want high school immigration, but and yes, of course H-1Bs are abused, and we should, you know, stamp out the abuse. And I feel like I know so many people, myself included. Frankly, when I was like 17 years old, or whenever I came to the U.S., I don't think I was high school at all. I was kind of like a clueless 17 years old. But attracting students to the United States with the potential to develop in high school talent later seems really important. So I think us turning away or being less friendly to all of these wonderful immigrants that want to come to America, we're so blessed that people want to come to America to work here. Thank you.
In fact, let's do a show of hands. You guys are all AI engineers. How many of you were born here? Or how many of you were not born here?
Wow, amazing. Wow.
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 I mean, that kind of makes your point really well. Let me ask you a question about open source regulation. So Andrew, you've been very passionate about limiting regulations that can knock off open source, right? And you've been talking about this for years. You're winning now, right? The Trump administration is trying to empower open source, right? Hasn't the tide shifted in the United States in the last year?
The tide has shifted at the federal level. So I'm less concerned now than, you know, in the past about federal levels. But the battles at the state level. So the recent California regulation that was passed, I think is okay. I don't think it will actually, I think it was reasonable. Have chatbots identify themselves clearly as chatbots. So a few things like that. I think it'll have a very small impact, positive or negative. So it's okay. I think the open source community, you know, it's just, but I think that there are other regulations being proposed in a variety of states that are more concerning. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Well, we have 1 minute left. So Miriam, why don't you close it out? What do you most want to have happen in the next year? You can argue for federal regulation. You can argue for the end of state regulation. You can argue for a new norm in governance policy. You can talk about your favorite sports team. What do you want to most have happen in the next year?
Other than my daughter getting into college, all politics is local. The thing that I most want to happen is to make governance not a bad word and to make sure that everyone knows they have a piece of it. That's from the consumer that deserves to know what machines, what AI they should and shouldn't trust. I want you all to be clear on what the expectations are and how that fits into your daily work. I think we absolutely need C-suite and boards to buy in on AI governance. We need to make sure that it is scaling impact and making sure that more people feel safe using AI, because we will fail. To be sure, we will fail if more people don't turn around their sentiment on AI, and they will not unless they trust us and trust the systems. They will not trust AI systems unless we give them reason to.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Miriam Vogel and Andrew Ng.